You're watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Museum in Natchitoches. You can follow Sports Shorts Daily by going to our YouTube page, Sports Shorts, hosted by Ronnie Rantz, and get our 15-minute weekday video. Welcome, everybody, to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rantz alongside TK Tommy Kyrsan from Termani's Meat and Seafood. Hope everybody's having a good one out there. And, hey, you know, we thought we'd be doing this show, Tommy, on Thursday, that we'd be telling you who our new president is, or if it's the current president staying, who knows. Bottom line is, you know I'm a little bit of a gambler. I think I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think we're going to officially know who the president of the United States is going to be moving forward after January 18th till Christmas. What do you think?
I think it'll be right after New Year's, that first week of January. Mm-hmm. That's almost the last time it could be, because you got to get ready for an inauguration regardless of who it is. But it's crazy, you know. I mean, what is it? Somebody shot Roddy. You should be on all these singing shows. They count up like millions of votes in a minute. I mean. Right. I mean, if anything comes out of this, there has to be a new way to count votes going forward, and a correct, accurate way to count votes. There's so much shenanigans going on, probably in both directions, but it's just crazy. It's mind-boggling, and I guess everybody wants to blame everything on it being 2020. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's nuts, and like I said, you know, we know that, you know, obviously the Gore and Bush was the craziest election, you know, with all the hanging chads and the recounts, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court and everything. But we know that if the things don't go in Trump's favor, and right now it doesn't look good for Donald Trump to win this election, he's going to empty every bullet, every gun. He's going to do every trick. You know, he's going to do everything he can within the legal ramifications to extend it, to investigate it. This is just going to drag on and on and on. And I probably, honestly, Tommy, Christmas, it might be too low of an over-under, but I'm going to stick with that anyway. That's what I said. So I think we're looking at Christmas as the over-under for the bettors out there.
Well, you know, Trump is a competitor. He doesn't like to lose. They tried to get him with Russia. They couldn't. They tried to impeach him. They couldn't. I mean, you know, the USFL, he tried to compete against the NFL, and he sued them. And, you know, I mean, you're right, Ronnie. He's going to exhaust every possibility to see that the legal correct result is what we get to. And in the meantime, we're hoping some sports world stuff. A lot of this COVID's popping up now, from the high school level to the NFL.
Well, let's talk a little sports. And you mentioned the COVID. We'll get to LSU and all that in a minute. But we're seeing high school games canceled. We know that tonight the 49ers take on the Packers. And we've got players. We got at least 4 players that are on the COVID list for the 49ers. But the Packers have some issues. So you're seeing more cases in high school, more cases in college. Oh, by the way, Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for one of the biggest games Clemson's playing all year on the road at Notre Dame. They're a 7-point favorite even without Trevor Lawrence. But the thing I don't understand, Tommy, that you brought up to me off air before we got on the show is that Trevor Lawrence can't play. He hasn't passed all the protocols, but yet he's healthy enough to travel and be on the sidelines in South Bend, Indiana with his team. How does that make sense?
2 and 2 is not 4 here. And what's going on is the different conferences have different rules about when you can get back. Lawrence has passed something and that thing hasn't affected his heart. You know, if nothing else, let's get a uniform rule for all conferences, whether it's the Sun Belt, the SEC, Conference USA, whatever it might be. Let's get a rule in place for next year, especially if we're not on the other side of this virus thing, where it's the same for everybody. But it's crazy that Lawrence can be on the sideline with his teammates, but he can't play in the game. I mean, you can't fool people forever, Ronnie. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It really is, because, I mean, if you have rules in place, if you're the ACC and you have rules in place, then it should not allow Trevor Lawrence to be able to be on the sidelines, to be with his team for the Notre Dame game. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. even if you made that rule a month ago, Tommy, you should be able to change that rule right now. It's one of those things where, common sense has to come in. Wait a minute, we forgot to address this. This is a loophole that we missed. Obviously, if we don't think the player is eligible to play on the field, how can he be eligible to stand on the street clothes and still interact with his teammates? But it just goes to show you how crazy, and to a certain extent, I understand this is new. There's no playbook for how to live life with this in a pandemic, how to do sports in a pandemic, and everybody's concerned about covering their ass and not getting sued. And one state that does it this way, the other state does it that way. Hell, one town, one parish does it this way, the other does it that way. It is a new world, and we're seeing those confusions and those mixed messages all over college football in particular.
And that's what causes people not want to believe whatever they hear,
Right.
Whether it's a doctor or whether it's a media or sports outlet, you start thinking like nobody really knows. You said it, Ronnie. There's no playbook. We can't turn to page 8 and figure out what to do here. So, it's just, and that's when people start not knowing who they can believe, who they can trust, who they can maybe think, okay, this person knows what they're doing. I think it just adds to the chaos.
Speaking of chaos, LSU football has been chaotic. It is bad. Thank God they have a week off. LSU fans can kind of regroup after that beatdown they had against Auburn. And, of course, you get a week off, but then they get ready for another beatdown coming against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Myles Brennan might be the most disrespected quarterback in LSU football history from a standpoint of the first 3 starts ever in college. He throws for over 300 yards in all of those starts, but people are still clamoring for the next guy. Now you got the next guy in TJ Finley for 2 straight games. You saw the good, you saw the bad, and now people are clamoring for Myles Brennan. What's the latest?
Well, he tried to throw a little bit on his own, a little bit at practice earlier this week, and it was very sore, the report that I got. Officially, he's still unknown for Bama day to day. The football team is off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and Ronnie, this is, injuries, there's no playbook for that either. Everybody heals differently. It doesn't, the same injury, take one guy 6 weeks to heal, another guy 4 weeks, 8 weeks. There's no playbook for that either. So, if you're an LSU fan, you got to hope that they get Brennan healthy. They're not going to put him out there unless they deem him to be 95% or even 100%. So Finley and Johnson have got to work hard at practice today, Thursday, and again next week. And then Coach O and the staff will identify one of them guys to take a shot against Bama. If I had to bet a Tremonti's hamburger on it right now, I'd say he's not going to play against Alabama, but that could change when we're doing our Sports Shorts Daily stuff next week.
I don't know that it really matters, Tommy. Obviously, I don't think it matters whether Myles Brennan plays quarterback or whether TJ Finley or any of them, Maximus, they all play. It's not going to make a difference because LSU just not going to be able to stop Alabama. I think will the offense be better with Myles Brennan healthy and at quarterback? 100%. It'll be healthy at this point in their career. But we're talking about, whether we score 10 points or whether we score 20 points possibly. That's all we're talking about. It's not going to make a difference. LSU's defense can't stop anybody. But I do want to see Myles Brennan get the start because I think this is a throwaway year. This is just a throwaway year for LSU. It does not matter whether they go 4-6, 5-5, 6-4. It makes no difference. This is a throwaway year, so it's almost like a practice season, like preseason for next year. And I want to see Myles Brennan get as many reps as possible because he's going to be the dude next year. It's not going to be TJ Finley or Max Johnson. It's going to be Myles Brennan.
Yeah, no question about that. I agree with what you're saying 100%. LSU still got 5 football games to play. So if Myles Brennan can't go against Bama, hopefully, as you say, get them reps, he get that experience before the end of the season. There will be a bowl game because all teams are eligible for a bowl. If LSU finishes 2-8, they're still going to have an opportunity to go to a bowl if they want to. So, then that's some more practices in another game situation. We just got to let it play out.
I want to talk about, a guy who was playing quarterback last year, Joe Burrow, who had a big win, the biggest win of his career last week against the Tennessee Titans, beat a 5-win team. Joe Burrow, 26 of 37 passing, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a 106 passer rating. Not his biggest game of the year by far, but he got a win. Joe Burrow has already had 5 300-yard passing games for Cincinnati this year. That ties a franchise record, and we've still got plenty of games left to go. Joe Burrow has been a resounding success in Cincinnati. Particularly that offensive line's not very good yet. He's still doing what he's doing. He's the leader of that team as a rookie. But now Tua is starting to emerge with the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins are looking like a team that's going to get into the playoffs, which is a surprise. Heck, they might even contend and push Buffalo. We don't know. But Tua in his first start, and it's a different offense than they're asking different things. But Tua went 12 of 22, only threw for 93 yards. Had a touchdown, no interceptions. He had an 80 passer rating in that game, and yet Tua's getting a lot of love. What's your reaction to the whole Tua versus Burrow debate at this point?
Well, the Tua before the injury, they figured he'd be as good as it could get. I think they're a different personality, but they're both very good quarterbacks, and I think they both can play in the NFL for quite a while. I like that little cocky thread in the DNA of Burrow, which we saw when he was in Baton Rouge. I think that's true. Tua's probably got that, but maybe not quite as swag, as vocal as Burrow. But I think both guys are going to play in this game for a long time. I think that's great, and we'll just see how it plays out. And now it's up to the Dolphins and the Bengals, respectively, to build a team around these two guys. Get the offensive line you need, get the receivers, get the running game. Don't forget about the defense, although that's secondary in football now, and build around these guys where 2-3 years from now you can run a division championship and try to win a conference, and the ultimate goal of get to and win a Super Bowl.
Tua is a different team, right? The Dolphins have one of the best defenses in the AFC, and they're just riding that defense and managing the clock. I mean, they've already 2 weeks ago they pitched a shutout against the Jets. They have the defense that Cincinnati doesn't have. They have a system that Cincinnati doesn't have. They are going to ask Joe Burrow to sling it around. They're not going to have a winning record. Joe's going to be fun to watch, but it's more for the future where Miami actually has a chance now. I think Miami's making a mistake, Tommy, by playing Tua. Based on the injury and what he did last year, I mean, to me, this should have been just a redshirt season. You were doing good things with Fitzpatrick. Let him just watch, learn, be 110% healthy for next year. I don't, quite frankly, understand why they feel the need to play him now.
I think they want to find out. They want to find out. They maybe try to get something for Fitzpatrick, because NFL's quarterbacks are not as frequently flying around as they used to be, and especially good quarterbacks. So, I got to believe they're putting Tua out there because they think he's healthy enough to go. And Ronnie, as you know, you played the game through the professional level. You don't ever go on the field thinking you're going to get hurt. You don't ever go on the field thinking, well, I better not go, because what if I do this or this flares up? People, athletes at that level don't think like that, and neither do the coaches. I mean, they're aware that injuries occur and all that, but they don't have that mindset. It's about the Dolphins trying to win football games. They think they can make some noise in the playoffs this year and probably lay the foundation for Tua taking them to win a Super Bowl, whether that's 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
Yeah, it sounds to me, the way you're explaining it and the way you think that they're doing, you think there's a chance. Let's say they play Tua for 2 or 3 games as a starter. They don't like what they see. They have more faith in Fitzpatrick getting him to the finish line and into the play. They put him back. I mean, do you think that's the scenario?
Well, you'd have to ask the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are just like the other 31 teams. You're going to put the best guy on the field that gives you a chance to win. And in this case, if they think Tua gives them a better chance to win, they're not tanking it. They don't need to do that at this point. They're looking for the best chance to win each and every Sunday. Very hard to win an NFL football game. And if they think it's Tua that gives them the best chance, they're going to keep running him out there.
Yeah, I mean, the week before Tua came into the game, the Dolphins hang 43 on San Francisco. Fitzpatrick goes 22 of 28 for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's the week before in a 24-0 win against the Jets. They made a quarterback change at the very end, let Tua go 2 for 2 and get in the game at the end in garbage time, and then they made the switch. So Fitzpatrick was literally playing some of his best football of his career. He's the magic man, and they make this change. So it's going to be interesting. To me, it's a gamble. I think you go with the hot hand, you go with the veteran. And Tommy, we've seen it time and time again. If you let these quarterbacks marinate, if you let them watch, and you let them sit, and you let them learn, the payoff is better down the line. If you don't have to play a rookie quarterback, to me, you don't.
Well, here's the other thing too, Ronnie. As you know, once these other defensive coordinators in the NFL get 2, 3, 4 weeks of tape in on Tua, then they start making adjustments and pre-snap reads and all this stuff, and then what happens after the snap, so it's going to become more difficult for them. How many times have we seen a backup jump in there? Matt Flynn's a perfect example. Lit the Patriots up that 1 week. Then once they got a little tape on a guy, then it becomes a little more difficult. That could be a factor here as well for the Dolphins.
Before we talk final topic, Saints, Drew Brees and Tom Brady and the 49ers this Sunday night, tell us a little bit about Tremonti's. What's going on over there?
Well, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, obviously. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. You can go online to tremontis.com and click the seasonal tab, and it'll take you to the holiday menu, the fried turkey, smoked turkey, rotisserie, the hams, all the side dishes. They got it there. You can order right there online, tremontis.com, or stop by here, 12451 Jefferson Highway. Check out the great things in here. The Buffalo Trace is still $19.99. Also, Buffalo Trace has a bourbon cream that you can put on ice cream, put in coffee, the whole bit. Oh, no, you got to get some bourbon cream from Buffalo Trace, Ronnie. They got the daily lunch specials, and here's the last thing. Office parties are going to start popping up for the holidays. Let Tremonti's cater your office party, your group event, your family event, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They can take care of all of that stuff. Tremendous catering capabilities here at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. You got all the wine, the liquor, the beer, all the sausages and meats, the Chairman's Reserve beef. I mean, you can't go wrong. Tremontis.com, or stop by, and be sure to connect on Facebook and Instagram. Like today, Thursday, the lunch specials jambalaya. I got a picture of the pot of jambalaya on Instagram, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Check it out.
Let's talk a little Brady versus Brees. Where are you on the Brady versus Brees all-time great debate?
I got to go Brady because of the Super Bowl rings, and I mean, it's ultimately measured by the championships that you win and those kind of things that you accomplish. And, Brees has got a Super Bowl ring. He's got a Super Bowl MVP. Brady's got more than that. So, I'd lean to Brady in the overall picture. I mean, Brees is still a slam dunk Hall of Famer on the field, but Brady, to me, if you start talking greatest of all time, he'd be slightly ahead of Brees.
By the way, just some little numbers, and I know when you talk comparison, team numbers is tough. Wins and losses are tough because, football, 22 guys are in the starting lineup, but Tom Brady has started 10 more games in his career than Drew Brees. He's won, my quick Menard High math, he's won 57 more games than Drew Brees. His winning percentage is 77% for Tom Brady versus Drew Brees is right at 60%. So 17% better winning percentage. And again, I know that losses as a starter, Tom Brady has only lost 66 games. Drew Brees has lost 113 games. Pass completions, well, percentage-wise, Drew Brees' career is right at just a shade over 70% completion percentages, pass completions rather. I'm sorry. Drew Brees has over 7,000 completions. Tom Brady has just over 6,500 completions. So about 500 more completions, even though Brady has played in 10 more games than Brees. Attempts are pretty close. Drew Brees has 10,400 attempts or so. Brady has 10,300. So about 100 less attempts, but yet Brees has 500 more completions. So the numbers are very similar. I think at the end of the day, when I look at touchdown passes, of course, Brees and Brady going back and forth, yards. Brees has got, about 3,000 more yards than Brady. But if Brees retires this year and Brady plays next year, most of the numbers will probably go towards Brady. I think Drew Brees is a top 5 quarterback all time in the NFL, Tommy. I think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in the NFL. He's got the individual stats, but he also has the team stats that are so far and beyond anybody else that it's not even funny. And whether you want to give Belichick the credit or Brady the credit, that's a fun debate for another time. But Tom Brady is the GOAT of all time. Drew Brees is the GOAT of Louisiana and is in the Hall of Fame and is in the discussion of best all time, but he's not Tom Brady. He's a top 5 quarterback all time in NFL history, and I'm throwing Johnny Unitas in that mix as well. Johnny Unitas is a top 5, even though those numbers don't compare. The game was different, but he transcended the game for 2 decades. So I'll put those 3 in there, and then the next 2, probably a Peyton Manning and a Joe Montana. Peyton Manning and Joe Montana.
Montana Bradshaw. I mean,
But see, Bradshaw, I don't give credit for Bradshaw, as great as he was, and Bradshaw to me probably a 9th on the list, 8th, 9th on the list for top 10. But they did it so much on that defense. And he's got so many unbelievable weapons. But Peyton Manning did it with 2 organizations. He did it over a super long time. Again, another trendsetter. Did it, through had those big years as a rookie. And of course, Joe Montana was unbelievable with 4 championships in the 80s, and then he went and was good with Kansas City as well. So that's the great thing about this debate. It's fun to talk about. But I think Tom Brady is 1A, and I think he's 1, and you don't even have a 2. I think it just goes 1-3. I think he's that far ahead of everybody.
Well, if it comes down to Brady and Brees and you need a quarterback in their prime to win you 1 game, you're going to be okay with the second choice.
Either one.
Okay? It's going to work out for you in all likelihood. So, but I agree with you. Brady's ahead of him at this point in time. And it'll be fun to watch the matchup Sunday. A lot of side stories and storylines and comparisons. Hey, that's what makes Sports Shorts Daily go round. That's what gives us plenty of topics to talk about. So it's all good.
All right, Tommy, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Tuesday for Sports Shorts Daily. Tommy will be at Tremonti's on Tuesday. Have a great one and go Saints.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by La Bears Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Museum in Natchitoches. Don't forget to follow Sports Shorts on Facebook, Twitter at sports_shorts, and check us out on Saturday mornings from 10 to noon at Sports Shorts Radio on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge.